Hi, my name is Lisa ArtTalk. I'm the program manager at the Getty Fitness Center. I've been with the Getty for 14 years. I'm a contractor. I work for Health Fitness, and Health Fitness manages the fitness center. And I have a colleague that I work with there. And right now we're closed, but I'm really honored to be able to participate in the Getty Underground again. It's my 7th year in doing this, and every year it's always exciting. This year even more so because of the changes we had to make unexpectedly, but it looks like it's working out great, so I'm really excited. And my piece is called Weird Fishes, Archipelago of Plastic, and that is in reference to a couple of things. We have a song by Radiohead, the band Radiohead, if you know them. They have the song Weird Fishes, and the Archipelago of Plastic is in reference to an album by the band The Gorillaz. They have an album called Plastic Beach, and those are both relevant to this piece. As you can see, there's a lot of plastic involved in this piece, and in talking about the Archipelago of Plastic, I'm also thinking of the Pacific Garbage Patch. You've probably heard of that. It's kind of famous. It's a large grouping of plastic that's floating around the ocean. It's about 269,000 tons of plastic, and it's about the size of Texas. But that's not the only one. There are many, many more smaller islands like that of plastic floating around, and those are whirling around in gyres as the ocean flows. The ocean flows in circular movements, and the plastic gets caught up in it, and it gets grouped together and just keeps whirling together, and more pieces get added, so they keep growing and floating around. So what's the problem with plastic? Well, about 8 million metric tons of plastic are dumped in our oceans each year. 80% of marine animal encounters result in their death or injury from ingesting or becoming entangled in plastic. 1 million birds, 100,000 mammals, and turtles die each year as a result of plastic. And we know that birds ingest so much plastic that the average bird has 36.8 pieces of it inside their guts. There are places where birds are eating so much plastic that they just drop dead because they're not getting real food and they're starving to death. And researchers have cut them open and found tons of plastic bottle caps inside of them. You may see some of those in here. All kinds of small pieces of plastic, such as these little tabs from milk cartons. So why do birds eat those? Because they see them from above when they're flying and it looks like food to them. They just swoop down and ingest it, not knowing, and pretty soon they're full of it and they can't eat real food. They can't digest the plastic, obviously, so they're going to die. We have different types of sizes of plastic, and the terms for those are meso, macro, and micro. Meso and macro plastic are greater than 200 millimeters in size, so that would be your larger things like these yogurt lids. Then we have microplastic, which are less than 5 millimeters, and then we have plastic that becomes so small that it becomes part of sand, and you can't really distinguish between the plastic and the sand on a beach in those cases. Only 5 to 10% of all plastic produced is recovered. And now we have a greater problem happening with the disposable masks and gloves that you see all over the streets. I see them in the gutters, I see them in parking lots, and if they're not picked up, they're going to end up in the gutter where they'll eventually wash into a storm drain and then out into the ocean. So plastic is a huge problem. What can we do about it? Well, right here in my piece, I've tried to recover it all and reuse it. And that's one thing you can do, reuse your plastic whenever possible. This is my 7th Getty Underground piece, as I mentioned, and every piece I've created has had some form of recycled parts in it. And the parts of this piece came from my landlady who was throwing out an umbrella, so I took the umbrella and cut it up a little bit and then fastened it onto the chicken wire, which I got from a neighbor who posted it on, I posted it on an Altadena Facebook group page where you post things that you want to give away or things that you need for free, and someone immediately responded and said, come pick up my chicken wire because I'm going to throw it away. So I saved that from the landfill and incorporated this, And then of course I had all this stuff from the foods and items I use. And I'm a vegan, so I don't use as much waste as a person who may eat animal products, but still being a vegan, I do use some packaged foods like veggie burgers, and these are the wrappers that come on the veggie burgers, and those are the fins of the fish. And you can see the little plastic stickers on there. Well, they're plastic and vinyl, and those go on avocados, apples, other produce you may see in the store. You can take them off the veggies or the food that you eat, but if you're not putting it in the trash, that could end up in the waste stream. And then also, if you're a composter, if you're putting compost vegetation materials in your own compost or the green bins that some cities provide, it's going to contaminate the compost, because this does not compost, the plastic in the stickers. So it ends up, if you have too much of it, really making a problem in your compost. You'd have to sort it and pick it out to make the compost pure again. And the fish mouth came from a bag that I received from an Amazon delivery, and I was really distressed to see they had packaged it that way. And I'm gonna have to remember now to request Amazon to use better packaging. But I used it for the mouth because it had this handy flap. And then these little plastic bits come from vitamin bottles. Those are the safety seals. And once you take them off your vitamin bottle, there's nothing else you can do with it but throw it away or use it in a piece like this. And the twist ties come from vegetables. So if you have a bunch of broccoli or a bunch of romaine lettuce, you'll see these wrapped around. I actually made a piece out of these things in 2012, I believe, with all of these in it, in the sculpture I made. And the trash bag is also a handy find because it had these ties so you could tie the bag, but I thought they would make great fins, so I glued them together and stuck it on the end. So that solved my problem of how to shape the fish into a fish shape. So the trash, as I mentioned, was pretty easy to collect from just my own use. I did get a couple of pieces from other sources where I washed them and cleaned them really thoroughly. But so many people throw away much more than this. And the goal is not just to recycle or reuse, but to not use it in the first place. That's the first line of defense we have if we're going to reduce our plastic pollution. So don't use straws, don't use the plastic lids that come on drink cups, don't use plastic cups, don't use plastic food containers, don't use plastic bags for your groceries. And I know some stores are banning the reusable bags that you bring in, but you can get around that by taking your items that you bought out in a basket or the shopping cart and then putting it in your car and then returning the shopping bag in the cart. So you don't have to take the plastic bags that the supermarkets are giving you. And many other things you can do to reduce the plastic waste problem. So I would suggest you go to different websites that have plentiful information about all this. There's rawfoundation.org, it's just rawfoundation.org, greenpeace.org. There are many of them. Just put it in a search engine and you'll find all kinds of ways to find solutions on plastic waste. But it's really important, and I hope my piece illustrates that to you. And he's going to have to stay in my yard forever because I don't want to throw this stuff away. So enjoy him, enjoy my weird fish, and thank you.